The People's Democratic Party, PDP, yesterday rejected the results of the Edo State governorship election as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, after the election empire declared Senator Okpebholor as the winner. The PDP acting national chairman, Ambassador Umar Damagum, said the party will challenge the election in court. According to him, the way and manner the judiciary treats the outcome of the Edo election will determine whether Nigerians still have a country.
Now, YIAGA Africa, a civil society organization, in its report said the results of the 3 local government areas in the governorship election in Edo State were altered at the collation stage. APC, on the other hand, responded to the report, stating that YIAGA was simply second-guessing in a post made on its official X page. And, of course, YIAGA Africa is not the only election observer who, has made similar allegations. Today, we're joined in the studio by, of course, 2 very, very strong personalities to join, of course, these conversation. But first of all, let's start with Mr. Andrew Nwata, who, of course, he's going to be speaking on this. Good morning. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Osarugwe. Good morning, Olive. It's a pleasure to be here physically.
It's a pleasure to have you.
I've always joined you virtually, so I feel
I know.
it's different today.
It really is. Welcome to the studio.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank
All
you.
right, so I think it's safe to say congratulations to you, to Edo State, to APC on the elections and the outcome. Did you foresee the backlash that you've gotten so far regarding the party's involvement and all the allegations that have been leveled against the APC in the elections?
In third world democracies, it is usually so when a loser admits that, yes, I participated in this election, I didn't win for this reason. So for me, I think whatever backlash we're having, it's from people who are not good losers. The beauty of democracy is for those who lose to admit that they have lost and explore the constitutional means for challenging whatever grievances they have. I remember when Obaseki came out from he was released by the police because they found him in INEC headquarters. And what they didn't add is the fact that Okpebholor was there. He left before the police came. The chief of staff to the governor was there at such an unholy hour, 2 a.m. They were there between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., 3 good hours. These are people who are not INEC staff. These are people who were not agents of their political party. These were people who were not security agents. So the question we are asking, what was Obaseki doing in the INEC head office at the time collation was being done between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. on Sunday morning when people were to wake up and go to church? So we are grateful to God. Our candidate emerged. I know people gave a mandate, and that is a resounding mandate. Remember that before the election, there were projections that the 3 local governments within Benin City, because of the misunderstanding the governor had with the Oba, arranged people to take him to court. The Oba's artifact, he was contending with him, he even built a museum, in the process of building the museum. And I think the Edo people, the Benin people precisely responded. And you saw the rain that lasted for 5 solid hours. With the Benin's, we know what happened. So we are very grateful to Edo people. It's a mandate. And remember that the 2 major political parties had candidates from the same senatorial district where this clamor for zoning made it impossible for these 2 parties not to have given their ticket to somebody from the Edo Central Senatorial District. And there are 2 federal constituencies. Before now, it used to be just 2 local governments in Edo South that has 5 local governments. You have the Okpebholor flank, where Senator Monday Okpebholor comes from. They have 2 local governments there, Eastern Central, Eastern West. He won those 2 local governments. Then the Okpebholor flank, consisting of Eastern Southeast, Eastern Northeast, and Guber. Okpebholor won on that flank. So you find that the political permutations were right. And for the outer rural communities in Edo South, we won in Oriomo. We have our heavyweights there, the national woman leader of the APC, Pastor Sageze Yamu, former Deputy Governor Odubu, the NDD's commissioner. And of course, the people voted along that line because they have always won that area consistently along those paths. In the last presidential election, PDP did not win that area. So it is a reflection of what played out last year. You talk of Nwunde, they won in Nwunde, and I will tell you why. You find that Nwunde has part of Benin City. You have a good part of Nwunde in Benin City. So people voted in that area for reasons best known to them. The 2 of you, what is important is that our own running mates, who has never lost election before in Ovia, for the first time lost his election. And that is how democracy works. They did local government election. PDP won all the seats. We didn't win one. Just the way they are rejecting results, our people rejected. They told us, go to court. So what has changed?
What do you think happened during the local government elections?
And I think it's the biggest challenge we have in our democracy, where it is only the ruling party that wins majority of seats during local government election.
I mean, it just happened in Imo State as well, you know, with the Imo State.
If you notice, I'm not isolating Edo.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's a major problem in this country. And I think the call for us to scrap the State Independent Electoral Commission should be increased now. That call, voices should aggregate to say, come, we cannot allow state governors to be organizing the election. Because most of these elections that take place at the grassroots level are usually at the behest of the governor.
You think they're influenced by the governor? Do you think INEC is influenced by the presidency then?
I think the reason why INEC is different is this. At the national level, the level at which there's complicity is less compared
How is that?
And I'll tell you why. At the level of INEC, you discover that these commissioners, they come from different parts of Nigeria, right? And as such, it's difficult for you to influence such huge number of commissioners. You have 36 state independent electoral commissioners. Unlike in the case of a state independent electoral commission, the government just appoints his family members, appoints people. And I can tell you that at that level, the level of control by security agencies is very difficult. And I'll tell you that...
That's not entirely true, you know, because on the national level, you know, if we are going by your analogy, all the president needs to do is influence the INEC chairman.
With profound respect, yeah. I'm talking of INEC here.
Yeah.
The word independent is only at the national level. That was why
think INEC is independent?
That is why Jonathan lost.
You think INEC is independent?
No, with profound respect, that's why Jonathan lost, because Jega had his own. He had his own. So you see the difference.
Yeah, but again, apologies, Olive. If we're going by your analogy, all the president needs to do is influence the national chairman of the body.
And again, let me tell you why it's difficult for the national chairman to be a sole administrator. He has, at the level of the states, recs who may not agree with him. At the national level, he has many commissioners. So I think there's need for...
but that happens when you have national elections, you know, and you have 36 states that you need to run elections, you know, so you can argue that maybe one or two wouldn't agree with the national chairman.
What happens?
Based on your analogy. But if it is just one state, and why I'm saying this is because from your analogy, again, the president's Twitter handle put out a statement in support of Monday Okpebholor, which is an anomaly, and I pointed this out to you the last time that we spoke.
No, I think
that it is not normal.
I don't agree with you.
No, this is what I'm saying. So it's not normal to use channels that are meant to be for governance to play politics. And so when you see that, and of course President Bola Tinubu also speaking about that dual state, so we can, from your analogy, then say that the president, influenced the national chairman of the party.
I think that's why I disagree with you, because if the president does not support his party, it means that is also an anomaly. And I'll tell you why you are wrong, and I'll do that very politely. The president has a Twitter handle. It is his own personal handle.
No, there are two different handles.
No, I'm coming.
Handle of the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and then there's the official handle for the official, the office of the president of the Federal Republic.
With profound respect, I've always argued that you cannot separate the occupants from the office, because it is the occupant that occupies the office. If it is the official handle of the federal government, it's different. As the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he can use his official handle to support the candidate of his party.
All right, you know what? We're going to come back to continue with this.
No, with profound respect, I'm saying that you cannot separate the man from the office.
So there are two different angles. But you know what? We're going to come back and have this conversation. We want it to be a balanced conversation. So we're going on a very quick break. And when we come back, we'll have another guest joining us to make the conversation even broader. Stay with us.
Watch in horror at the APC compromised security operatives and thugs unleashed terror, harassed, arrested, and detained PDP members and supporters, forced siege mentality before and on election day, and paved the way for its urgent and procured INEC official to manipulate the ballot process, substitute genuine results from the polling units with fictitious figures, and transfer the victory clearly won by our candidate, Okpebholor, to the defeated APC candidate. As Nigerians already know, despite the violence, intimidation, and manipulations by the APC, results obtained from the polling unit show our candidate, Dr. Okpebholor, clearly won the election before the figures were altered at the state collation exercise in favor of the defeated APC candidate. The PDP therefore unequivocally rejects the final result of the Edo State governorship election as declared by INEC, as it did not meet the minimum standard.
Welcome back. There you have the acting PDP national chairman, Damagum, of course, addressing Nigerians after the Edo State elections and, of course, declaring that the PDP will be going to court. This morning, we continued the conversation right after the Edo State governorship elections on the 21st of September. And we're joined this morning again by Andrew Enwata, who, of course, has been here already. We've also now been joined by Dr. Adetokunbo P.S., a PDP chieftain. Good morning. And thanks for joining us, sir.
Good morning.
Olive.
All right. Now, before we went on the break, we're having a conversation as to the overall sense of the Edo general elections. And the conversation had then got into the independence of INEC, which Mr. Nwanta here thinks it can't be guaranteed at the state level, but at the federal level can be guaranteed. But particularly, I think the argument we had was regarding the president using his official handle to make a tweet in support of the Edo State's governor-elect, something that a number of people have referred to as state capture. Mr. Nwanta thinks there's nothing absolutely wrong with that, and what would be the anomaly would be the president not supporting his party. We'd like to get your thoughts on that and the Edo general elections as well.
The president has every right to congratulate a candidate of his party that he won the election. That's not the real issue here.
No, but campaigning for him pre-elections, do you think there's anything wrong with that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
In any democracy, the president is a human being, is a member of a political party, is the head of the party. He campaigns for his candidate. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem with us in Nigeria is the system. Independent electoral is a misnomer. It's not independent. I'll give you an example. The president, whoever the president is, and I'm not speaking as a PDP, I'm speaking as a concerned Nigerian. Whoever the president is appoints the INEC chairman, appoints all the INEC commissioners. That in itself is an anomaly. It has discredited the system right from the beginning, whether it's a local or national. That is where the problem is. Let me give you an example. Imagine if in the United States of America, was it 2020 when Trump claimed that he won the election? Imagine if the President Trump had the power to call the INEC chairman, one man, and say to him, what would Trump have said? What he said clearly, you better change those figures. I won this election. Declare me. He would have done it. He had no choice. The INEC chairman is not an independent operative at all. He who pays the piper calls the tune. That is the problem with Nigeria's electoral system. There has not been any credible election. It's not possible. What we are complaining about now in PDP, APC would have complained the same. If the president was an PDP and the president appointed the INEC chairman, very likely that is what they would do. They would arm twist the INEC chairman to declare, whether it's local or national. We have to change the system. Is that what you think
happened in Edo State?
Definitely, definitely. Before the election, you could see all the signs. A policeman in uniform came and said, we will not allow PDP to win this, to manipulate this election. Come on. Then the Edo resident electoral commissioner is a card-carrying member of APC. That's the end of the election. Forget about anything else. Forget about it. So when the chairman, our chairman is saying the polling units results, which are about 314,000 for PDP and 233,000 for APC. That was the polling unit results. The IRF results posted. The next thing you know, when it gets to coalition, you see, look, I lived in the United States for 20 years and worked in the political system. There is nowhere in the world where the system is perfect. You must always work toward perfection.
Yeah.
But what we have here, ab initio, is a faulty, defunct system. How can you begin to, one man, everything in Nigeria is centralized, over-centralized. In the United States, what you have, every state, the Secretary of State in every state is the returning officer for that state. So now you have to deal with 36, you know? So it's not easy for any president to manipulate. And by the way, that state secretary is an elected position, not appointed, as we have here in Nigeria. Because once the governor appoints the Secretary of State, let us say, appoints all the members of the local electoral commission, what else is there? That state, it is very difficult for that state to return anybody who is not from the ruling party. That is what happens at the state level. At the national level, the same thing, because the INEC chairman, all the INEC commissioners appointed. Look, the way we are now, the 2027 election is gone already. We have to fight, because when we come to it, the president is going to, Tinubu is going to use everything to manipulate the system. It's already in progress. I can tell you it's in progress. One, INEC chairman is his man, because last election, 2023 election, 30%, 31% of votes came in, the man announced. Something happened. What happened?
Yeah, all right.
So look, we have a very faulty system. We must get it right before 2027, because after 2027, we're going to come back to this same issue, the same argument. Oh, the president rigged the election. Of course, he will rig the election. He has all the power. It's too much. If you give that power to one person in the United States of America, the home of democracy, they will manipulate it in their own favor.
All right. Let's go back to Mr. Andrew Nwata. And of course, you could quickly respond to some of the things that have been said, along with the election analysis by YIAGA Africa, which said that the election ran smooth until it got to the collation process, where YIAGA Africa, believes strongly that the results were manipulated in collation part of, the elections. So quickly just respond to that.
I think I will start with the last, which you've referred to as the comments made by YIAGA Africa. I'll comment on YIAGA Africa in a very brief manner. Todu Samson, I was in court once when he had issues with a particular lady, and Nigerians with time will get to know what were involved. He's not a man of integrity. I'm saying it here. He's always on the pay book, or he has a paycheck from some persons. They tend to monitor campaigns, and they make certain predictions or projections. And if their projections does not go the way they project it, they try to discredit the process.
Do you think YIAGA Africa is sponsored by...
when a man with questionable integrity, I've been in court, I'm a lawyer, I know what the issues were, and I was asking, he was hiding somewhere. Is this the same person that condemns the election? If I do a press conference, he will run away from Nigeria. He's not a man of integrity. We know how much he was given.
You know this for sure.
Given by who now?
I'm saying, is the owner of Samson the Todu. We know how much he gets from abroad. Most of these people are regulated from outside.
How much does he get from abroad?
He gets a lot of dollars. Will he deny that?
No, but I mean, can you...
I will give it figures when I do my press conference on him.
When you say abroad, who are you referring to?
The agencies that support them abroad. Democracy...
Is there with
profound respect, democracy in Africa is regulated. Are you aware that democracy in Africa
What I'm asking, is there anything wrong with receiving funding from...
The question is, a young man, he does not have any other means of livelihood. Oh, I run an NGO. You see him make so much noise in the media. Somebody is funding him.
There are NGOs that are...
And there are certain outcomes, with profound respect. If he's a man of integrity and he gets funding from outside, we will agree. But when he has issues with his character, no,
But you don't know the character
something
of...
to his character.
because the head, when the head of a fish is rotting, it affects the body.
No,
Yeah,
but
so
because you haven't clearly said what exactly it is that is the issue with his character.
And how much you receive.
I told you you had a problem with a woman, which I was in court when the issues came up. And I was very disappointed. That is a man preaching, oh, they should not rig elections. When you have very, very questionable behavior.
What does that have to do with...
It has a whole lot to do with it has a whole lot to do with the electoral process, because you cannot be complaining, right, about something somebody said when you have a log in your own. And it begins with the process by which most of these NGOs operate. And I'll tell you that most of them became multi-millionaires because they tend to discredit their own system, not minding the fact that, and I totally agree with my brother, there's need for reforms in our system. Even in America, they've had rigging. You remember in 2000, what happened in Florida? The person who was the presidential candidate of the Republican Party, Bush Jr. His younger brother was the governor of Florida, Jeb Bush. We know how they rigged the election in Florida. Al Gore won that election, but it was rigged. They have been in democracy for 300 years uninterrupted. How long have we had democracy in Nigeria? Just 25 years. We have a system that is still building.
So do you think the APC has taken advantage of the flaws in the system?
With profound respect, I'm not saying that APC has done anything. I said we should stop comparing Nigeria with America because they are 300 years, they are 275 years ahead of us. We are still building our democracy, and I think there's need for reforms.
All right.
Nobody will disagree with and again, he mentioned something about the IREV, and I'll quickly respond to that. The electoral law is clear. IREV is a creation of a mere regulation. The mode of collation is clearly stated. IREV is just a way of, it's like a social media way of viewing the election results.
All right, we'll come back to talk about this. We're stopping at IREV. We want to go on a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll pick up the conversations from IREV. Welcome to Breakfast Central. We're still, of course, looking at the Edo elections and the aftermath. Now, before we went on the break, we're talking about IREV. And, one of the issues that came up was that there was a disparity between the numbers on Form ECHC as well as the figures announced by the figures that were announced. So can you give an explanation to that? Because the PDP did raise the disparity in these numbers.
I remember before the election, 24 hours before the election, there was an alarm that was raised in the internet, which I read, that Obaseki had brought two professional hackers who were to work with an INEC official in the ICT department to first see how they could influence the results that moved from the beavers to the IREV portal. And you discover that they set up what they call a situation room in Government House. They've always done it. It was not a situation room. It was actually a collation room that they set up in Government House. So they were actually uploading fake results to the IREV portal.
And we know this for sure.
How do you upload fake results to the INEC portal?
Have your phone not been hacked before?
Excuse me.
No, sir, I'm still talking. I mean,
you are talking too much.
No, with profound respect.
You said more than enough.
You were accusing my party. You talked about.
So you're APC.
No, with profound respect.
I didn't know.
No,
I thought you said you're a lawyer.
Okay.
If I'm a lawyer, I don't have a right of freedom of association.
No,
Section
you do.
40 guarantees that right.
But make it clear.
In a civilized setting, you allow me to complete what I was saying.
Go ahead.
Don't interrupt me.
Okay, so please quickly wrap up your thoughts so that we can...
No, with profound respect, I was saying something. I said even our phones could be hacked. It's a device.
So do you know for sure?
I'm saying it because we raised that, the alarm was raised.
You read it on the internet that it was hacked. That's what you said.
Why not allow me to land?
But that's what you said.
And it was hacked. And that's what I said.
You said it was hacked because you read it on the internet
you made a statement about a police officer, and with profound respect, that man is a private spy, which the police came out to denounce. And even as a party, I was on the program and I denounced it. That wearing that uniform, he was not supposed to do that.
Go ahead.
He's not an official of the Nigerian police force.
About Rev and the
Then
collation.
for IREV, as a lawyer, I have been a law teacher for 14 years. As a constitutional law teacher, I know when there's a conflict between the provisions of the Electoral Act and regulations of INEC, the Electoral Act supersedes it. The only known provisions under the Electoral Act, it talks about mode of collation. we had a situation in some of the local governments where they now had to move collation. IREV is just a way of viewing results.
Okay.
So with profound respect, just allow me to land.
Go ahead.
When the system is hacked, right, and you have fake result there, it is a collation that takes place both at the collation center and INEC that the REC, or rather the returning officer, will announce not what you have on IREV.
All right.
The Supreme Court has said that IREV is not a mode of commencement, collation.
Okay.
No, wait, it's not a mode of collation. Just learn. I'm giving you what the law says, and that's the highest court in the land, that the IREV portal is not a mode or a means of collation, but it's just a way of people tracking what is happening.
All right, so...
whether fake or real, it's a way of tracking what is happening.
Listen,
please.
you know, this is what happens. Elections are held in the polling units. The results are there. When the results get to the collation center, that is where the final decision is made in terms of putting all the figures together. That is at that point that they can rig. You can rig all you want from the polling booth, but the results, when the results get to there, they will now determine what they do with the results. So whoever has, if you say Obaseki hacked something on the way, it doesn't mean anything, because when it gets to the collation center, they're going to down whatever they want to do there, they do. That's where the problem is, by the way. All this IREV and this collation, this is the problem in this country. If you had the same system in the United States, you have the same problems. Therefore, what should happen? Simply, as it should by law, in this country's elections, the minute you vote, transmitted directly. That's the way it should be. There's no need carrying paper to collation center. When you do, it will be manipulated. You understand me? So all this talk about IREV here, look, all we want is reform. And that reform must be that as soon as you vote, that's what happens in the United States. By the way, I lived in the United States for 20 years and worked in the system for a long time.
Yeah,
I was involved in that 2020 election, that 2000 election. You say it was rigged. There was a problem.
Dr. Pierce,
There was a
with all due
problem with the
respect,
election.
with all due respect, I want us to focus on the allegations that the PDP allegedly hacked the IREV server, and according to what Mr. Wata said, maybe uploaded the results.
If the PDP hacked, there is no proof that happened. Even if the PDP hacked, the point is that is not where the result is decided. The result is decided at collation. And I've just told you how vulnerable the collation center is. Whenever any result can get to collation, when it gets there, they can release any result they want. That's where it's manipulated. Therefore, whether PDP rigged this or that, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. We have to change the system.
Yeah.
And the system has to be, by the way, aren't we supposed to have direct transmission of results? Did we have it? So forget about this election.
Mr. Wata,
The whole thing is faulty.
you allege that the PDP's IREV results, were very likely hacked because of this
That shouldn't even be a discussion, because nobody knows that.
I mean, that's what I want him to speak a little bit more
talk
on.
about that.
Hold on,
Rubbish.
Dr. Pierce.
Well, they are the anchors. Allow the anchors to
It is
answer
a
the
very
question now.
strong
Yeah, so-
allegation that has been made here. So the thing is, do you have information about
And
it?
I'll tell you what happened. They released some results using the premium time, byline. I remember Premium Times came to denounce it, that they are not the authors of it, that these were 2020 results. Of course, if you check Premium Time website, they had to do a disclaimer. And these results came from Government House. So to a very large extent, we know we have a system that needs reforms. And just by the way,
Let's focus on the allegations that the PDP brought in a hacker and was in a room with...
The truth is, I was in INEC when that tension was there. And I will tell you, as someone that was on the ground,
What were you doing in INEC?
we went to tell the governor to leave that place. Because
What were you doing in INEC?
Obaseki was not supposed to be in the INEC office.
And you were supposed to be
We
there.
went there to tell him to leave that place. And he left that place. after spending 3 hours there, what was Aswa Ighodalo doing there? Was Aswa Ighodalo a candidate supposed to be in INEC when collation is ongoing? In the INEC headquarters when our candidate was sleeping?
Why was your candidate sleeping? Everybody goes to collation center.
Is there a witch that will be awake between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m.?
Is Ighodalo a witch?
No, with profound respect, what was Obaseki doing here?
Come on.
Everybody
goes to collation
Can you define
center.
why Obaseki, as governor, not a collation agent, his chief of staff, with profound respect, just allow me to land, and the candidate of the PDP, along with the hackers they brought, what were they doing in INEC? We have video footages of about 10 of them entering the INEC premises.
What's the problem? After all,
they were trying to influence the process.
Yeah, the problem here is...
So issues respond
the problem
to
here
that.
is that INEC itself has not said that its servers were hacked.
No.
INEC, in fact, on the day of the election, they repeatedly was in news that 93%, 98% of results have been uploaded on the IREV server.
Did INEC say that?
How is... No, I mean, it's on the Guardian. All the newspapers...
No, these were things that they were influenced.
No,
Wait,
no,
let
hold
me
on,
tell you one
hold
thing.
on, hold on.
Sharon,
Mr.
wait, I'm coming. No, please,
just hold on. Let me finish my question. You can respond.
SMU Central was complicit because some of the media houses...
Can I finish my question so you can
Channels
respond?
was complicit, Arise was complicit. I don't know if
Complicit to do what?
They were the ones spreading that fake news that what you have on IREV is authentic results.
Wait a minute. Why would they be complicit? Are they PDP?
In the build up to the election, we knew how they were very
let me say
partisan.
something else
Can we please interject?
about YIAGA. Now, you said YIAGA is funded by people abroad. Is that PDP funding them? That they will release results in favor of PDP?
No, there are things I cannot say on national TV.
This YIAGA has had 2 or 3 presidential elections, 16 governorship elections. Nobody discredited them. Now you are discrediting them because they say that this thing was rigged in favor of APC. Now, this company you said is funded from abroad. Who is funding them? Is it PDP funding them?
No, I wanted to be very calm about that.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that that man, by the time we do a proper petition, we will now discover those funding him locally. I didn't want to comment on that.
Okay.
Because there are some of these issues that will end up in court.
So,
and as a lawyer, I won't say them here.
Mr. Nwata, why
you said enough here.
Why we ask these questions?
No, the ones that you know is what I've said. The ones you don't know, I won't say it here.
So I think that why these questions are being asked is because this is national TV, and if we're going to make some very strong claims, we need to be sure that these are not just hearsay, right? The matter is not yet in court. You don't yet have a case against YIAGA in court. So if you say that YIAGA is being funded by external persons, I think it's important to be able to say A, B, and C are funding YIAGA for so and so reason, which you haven't clearly.
No, with profound respect.
That is one.
When you are true, I will respond.
I
will respond.
Can you hold on?
Please, sir.
Can you hold on?
So that's one. Then when you say that Obaseki brought in hackers to meddle with INEC's result, that's a very strong allegation as well. So if you're saying that, you then have to show facts. You have to be able to say that you have evidence, because if this is a matter that can, that can easily be a defamation of character.
No,
because alleging that he blatantly, the governor of the state, blatantly committed a crime. So if you're saying that, we want to be sure.
Your question is long, but I'll just summarize my answer.
Just the 2 things that you have said that we want you to clarify.
First,
we've been going
I told you of a disclaimer done by Premium Times, when they now claim that those results were from the IREV, and they now put it in the Premium Times byline. And Premium Times made a disclaimer.
Who put it in Premium Times byline? Sorry.
Most of the things we got on the social media were from PDP supporters. And that was the news that went to town.
So Premium Times, was it hacked as well? Or
no, what we are saying is that the results that they were saying came from IREV. They put it out in the Premium Times byline. I mean, I'm coming, sir. Just be patient.
This was going to go to court. So there's no need, all of this discussion is going to go to court.
So the second question...
We are going to court to challenge this final result. We are saying that what happened from the polling units is the real result that was posted by INEC, coming from the polling units. Therefore, that's on which we stand.
Not IREV.
Which we will take to court.
Not IREV.
IREV, the results are there. That's what we're saying. That result is what we stand on.
What of Premium Times?
Forget about premium times. What's my business with premium times?
Okay, because that was where that story came that the man was leading, your candidate was leading, which was fake. What was Obaseki doing in INEC?
Final results.
What was Obaseki doing in INEC 2 a.m. when people were sleeping? What was Okpebholor doing in INEC 2 a.m. when Nigerians were sleeping? What was the chief of staff to Obaseki doing in INEC headquarters?
Is a card-carrying APC member, Dr. Onoha. Therefore, forget about everything else.
That's a lie.
We were there trying to convince him to do the right thing.
That's a lie.
That's what Obaseki was doing.
Sir, that man you called,
we want to make sure that they don't rig us out.
A card-carrying member of the APC was a man who issued Okpebholor voters card.
All right.
In a very suspicious manner. The matter is in court.
Let's move the conversation away now to vote buying, which was a claim, it was said that the APC was very, very involved in vote buying. There were reports that they saw a number of people, and the PDP wasn't exempt from these allegations as well. So we did, even our correspondence was on ground to report, and a number of the reports we got that were that people were buying votes or selling votes for as low as 10,000 naira. So can you speak to the vote buying and the prevalence of vote buying, or the role that might have played in the Edo State gubernatorial elections in 2024?
You know, as lawyers, we speak on facts peculiarly within our knowledge. On election day, as a registered voter, I went to the polling units where I'm supposed to vote. I casted my vote, and I was there to defend my vote. Nobody brought money to me. Nobody. So if they talk of vote buying, vote saying, they didn't buy from me, I didn't sell. So I cannot comment on what I don't have any knowledge of.
Look, you are not here. When you come on national TV, it should be devoid of hypocrisy and pretenses.
No, sir, we prefer
You are telling me that you didn't buy vote. You did not. Nobody is going to accuse you of doing that.
That's what I've said.
Yeah, but let me tell you.
What is hypocrisy?
Let me answer the question.
No, I take very serious exception.
Let me answer the question
about
about vote buying. Okay? I was not in Edo. But every election that I've been in Nigeria, they buy votes. All of them.
Because
PDP,
involved, that's why I'm speaking like that.
Listen,
you are involved. I'm not involved. So you are talking for yourself.
Let me tell you something. I will never buy vote or sell vote. But I know it's done. And I'm telling you, like a honest Nigerian, a lecturer, I'm a teacher. And I want people to know. There's nothing I say here that everybody in Nigeria doesn't know. You're saying you were not there. You don't know whether they sell vote. Everybody does it. That is part of what is wrong with our system. Okay? But guess what? It is not the buying of the vote that determines the results. As is it Lenin that said it, that it is not the people who cast the vote that determine the result of vote. It is the people who count the votes. And who counts the votes in Nigeria? INEC. Okay? That coalition center is where they had everything, where they change the figures. That's where it happened, at the final point of coalition. That's all.
All right.
And we're going to court, by the way.
And just in response.
We're going to court to defend that.
Just in response, he said it was at the coalition center it was hacked. And as a lawyer, you said so
maybe
now.
Hack is not the right word.
No, you've said it now.
I said maybe it's not the right word.
I draw from what you said.
That's where we're manipulating.
Okay, hacking is manipulation.
That is where the figures were
from what you
changed.
said, as a lawyer, you ask yourself, what is the evidence? Obaseki, just allow me, sir, was at INEC headquarters, 2 a.m. in the morning, which is full security. His orderlies were there. His DSS chief duty was there. His police agency was there. I saw them.
And you also mentioned
we have footages of them.
hackers.
No, I'm coming. He went with his professional hackers. They were carrying bag. We had party agents who tag. You know, one thing is, they didn't know that there were CCTVs there because they were desperate. They wanted a situation where the result they manipulated, they wanted to re-roll it on INEC. And that announcement would be made. The REC, knowing that that was their purpose, had to escape. It was the REC that raised the alarm outside that they have besieged my place. The chief of staff to the governor was mounting the door until our people now came to say, what are you doing here?
The REC had been compromised anyway.
All right.
The REC was paid already before he got to
money from
election
Obaseki, is that not compromise on Obaseki's part?
If he does, sure.
All right.
All right.
If he did,
again,
sure.
just to clarify that INEC itself has not stated that its servers were hacked. INEC has not complained.
If there's a hack by a hacker, it does not just happen overnight, it was planned. So INEC will take their time. That's why they're independent. They don't just jump into conclusions.
Independent?
No.
INEC is independent?
So if,
Hold on, Dr.
if
What is independent? Wait a minute. What is independent about INEC?
We don't need to fight about it. Is it not
What
the
is
name?
independent about INEC? It's a misnomer.
Is it not the National Assembly that cleared the National Assembly?
What National Assembly? The chairman of INEC appointed by the president makes him totally not independent. He's totally dependent on the president.
No, with profound respect, who would have appointed him? Is it God or Jesus? You must have a human factor in elections.
Let me tell you. You know who should appoint him? You know who should appoint him?
Tell me.
This is the way the board of elections should be.
Okay, tell me.
Equal number of major parties on the board. You hear me? That is from there, INEC chairman would emerge. No appointment. No appointment. This has to be something that comes from a committee of people representing the two parties. Amongst them, they will choose a chairman. But as I said before, one chairman in this country for the whole of the election is the same way Nigeria doesn't work because everything is centralized in Abuja. We must decentralize INEC. That's the only way it can work. If we do that, then we would have a more credible election.
All right.
All right.
What I'm hoping that I can clarify here is that your allegations are against, the governor of Edo State, Governor Obaseki, saying that he brought hackers, to hack INEC servers. Yes. And I was once again trying to clarify.
Going to sue you for
Hold on, Dr. Pierce. I was once again
Are you speaking for the governor? I said
Mr.
I can speak for him.
Can you both please hold on?
We have
I can speak for him. He's my leader.
Please hold on. What I'm trying to clarify is...
Are you from Edo State that is your leader?
Look at this guy. Do I have to come from Edo State?
Dr. Pierce.
Yes, please.
I'm a member of the People's Democratic Party.
Oh, congratulations.
Kindly hold on.
Sure.
All right. What I'm trying to clarify here is that INEC itself has not cried that its servers were hacked. INEC and, of course, all major Nigerian newspapers were proud of the speed with which results were uploaded on the IRF servers. 93%, 98%, almost on the same day. In fact, by the next morning, everyone, had uploaded up to 98% on the same servers that you claim were hacked. Yes. So it's hard to believe that the same server that INEC knew was hacked, they continue to upload those results.
Don't say they. It's not INEC that uploaded those results. It was from government house they were uploading those results. How would you say they? When did INEC...
So the results... So these results, because if I can open the IRF server right now, so are you saying that everything that I'm seeing
here... I can tell you that majority of those
here...
results are fake. Fake.
Okay.
Fake. Right. And that's why my brother says, our leader, your leader was in INEC headquarters 2 a.m. What was he doing there?
Well, because we're trying to get in as much as we can within the limited time that we have, let's talk about the PDP. I don't know if you've seen the article by Olumide Akpata right after the elections titled Unbowed, Unbent, and Unbroken. Of course, he spoke about the APC candidate, but he also did speak about the PDP. And I'm going to quote what he says. He said, "I hold no sympathy for the PDP who now cry foul after being outmaneuvered in this macabre Game of Thrones. They willingly participated in the bidding war with the APC, fully aware of the rules from the outset. Their lamentations ring hollow in the face of their own complicity in this democratic travesty." So the PDP has been accused of dancing along with the APC and only crying foul now because it's not in their favor.
What do you mean dancing along with APC?
Well, I just quoted...
No, I don't understand what that means.
From a number of, I mean, I can't say exactly what he means, but in the general sense of the elections, part of the criticism leveled against the PDP is that the PDP and the APC are one and the same, two sides of the same coin.
Look, we were in an election and we were adversaries. We were rivals. So therefore, PDP tried to win the election, APC tried to win the election. That is what happened. The issue now is where INEC has claimed that we lost the election, and we are saying, based on the IRF results that went to collation, our candidate won that election, and it was the results were manipulated when it got to collation. It happens all the time. That is where the problem is, and that is why you find all the leaders. I remember one election, Tinubu was at collation center in the early morning. People woke up and met him there waiting to get, everybody does that because they want to make sure, that what comes into the collation center is not manipulated and the figures are not changed. That's why they go there, okay? So that is what happened. And since we have been declared to have lost, we say we don't agree because initial results that came into collation center showed that Okpebholor had won this election. And we're going to court to defend that position that we have taken.
And do you believe that the court will be able to grant you the justice that you seek? Do you trust in the court?
I don't trust in the court because the court itself, look, the IG is a personal hatchet man of the president. The new Chief Justice is a personal friend of the president. INEC appointed by the president. As far as I'm concerned, we have seen this court in action. I don't expect them to do the right thing. I wrote an article days before this election that in Edo State, what is likely to happen is that APC is going to do everything to win this election by hook or crook, by crook mainly. And that's what happened.
But it is a PDP that said, it was going to be a do-or-die affair.
The governor said it.
All of them was do or die. Oshomole was there as if it's the end of the world. Everybody was there.
And the PDP was one that refused to sign the peace accord.
Well, yes, that's true. But that is because of what they had seen. That the way this is looking, presidency is determined that this thing must be delivered one way or the other. So that is why we were fighting hard. We were crying foul from the beginning. And it has proven to be so. That they plan to manipulate this election. That is what we were crying foul about.
So back to the initial question. Do you agree that the PDP and the APC are two sides of the same coin?
All politicians operate the same way. It is the system you put in place that determines how, to what extent you're going to have fairness. It is the system that keeps people in check. It is not individuals. All individuals are the same.
So it's a yes.
So the allegations of vote buying, you agree that the PDP did buy votes along with the APC?
Look, I will not, if APC is buying votes, PDP will buy votes. That is part of the problem with our electoral system. And by the way, the buying of votes and so on, that's the problem is lack of accountability and enforcement of the law in this country, in every respect. In other words, you commit a crime, you should be accounted for. You should account for it. You should be penalized for it. People get away. If people could receive bribes, police could receive bribes in America, they would do so. The problem is, if you do, you are in trouble. That is what we must do here to improve our system.
Right.
If you buy votes or you sell votes, you should be arrested. People go, what did Tinubu say? Grab it, snatch it, and run away with it.
Yeah.
Anybody who does that should be arrested.
All right.
That is the issue.
All right, let's go back to Mr. Iwata now. The elections are concluded until, of course, the court proceedings start, and we'll see how that also turns out. Well, yeah, we'll see how that turns out. But for now, what is the mood in Edo State currently, and what does your candidate, bring to the people of Edo State?
Yeah, thank you. He said certain things that are very important and very, some of them defamatory, because he complained that, what I said was defamatory, much as I had facts. He said Mr. President was at a collation center at some point, and maybe in the future he will have to explain which collation center, because it was well reported that Obaseki was caught red-handed in INEC headquarters at very unruly hours between 2 a.m. At 5 a.m., he was escorted by a huge contingent of military persons, DSS personnel, and the police led by, Frank Umba. He was not just led alone. His ADC was there, his chief detail was there, and some police officers. Before the police people came, some of the people that were with him, with PDP tags and everything, had escaped. So having said that, that Mr. President at some point was in the collation center.
No,
the burden is
not this election.
No, it's not on me, it's on you. I just said that, by the way. Because that must have been a very complimentary remark you made there about Mr. President.
Not in this
and
election.
you said that the IGP is his hatchet man, and I think the IGP is hearing you. So you may explain what that word means to describe an Inspector General of Police
he said,
as a hatchet man who was cleared by the Police Council. I won't go there, where you have all the 36 state governors present. So having said that too, I want to ask myself this question. PDP said they want to go to court. Before the election, they had 3 pre-election cases. I was handling one. One of them had to do with the delegates. At the PDP primaries, 381 delegates were excluded. We went to court, they got judgment. I was the lawyer that handled that case. The PDP was not saying that they were not excluded, but they are saying because Section 84, right, sub 14 of the Electoral says only an aspirant can go to court. But that was not a case challenging the outcome of the primaries, but it was a case challenging their exclusion. They were rigged out by PDP. These persons,
the PDP
as we speak, they rigged them. They were rigged out by the PDP. So that was internal rigging by the PDP. And as we speak, that matter is at the Supreme Court. The PDP candidates, the same rec you call an APC member, privately issued him a card, a voter's card, against INEC procedure and protocols. That matter is before the Supreme Court. Besides, the PDP primaries was rigged. One of the aspirants, Aslemo Jeswa, is at the Supreme Court. I will leave it there.
Yeah, well, again, back to, my initial question, is what does Monday Okpebholor, bring to Edo State now that he has been...
He has a 5-point agenda.
Yeah.
And in building that agenda, we sat back, we said, there are 5 areas where Obaseki failed. In the area of security, he failed. So we are bringing a new security architecture that would make the police more responsible and more accountable. Obaseki was fond of giving them second-hand Sienna, not as his predecessors did. We are going to give them state-of-the-art vehicles with which they can combat crime. Obaseki introduced a military called Edo State's his own private army. These are people that move with banned weapons. They move with pump action. They move with all kinds of... And these people have these arms at home. When they don't pay them, they were not getting paid. What do? They resort to crime. We have an organized security architecture in our state. The second is the issue of roads. We discovered that in Benin City, when it rains, and for 5 hours rain fell, in my local government, people could not pass that road because it was flooding. He could not deal with the problem of flooding, or Showman started dealing with. So road development is at the heart of our agenda for the state. The third is the issue of affordable health care. As we speak, the only hospital that you can say has standard is the one built by Showman 8 years ago. The governor started renovating Stella Obasanjo Hospital about 7 years ago. That hospital is still under renovation. Okay. So there's nothing like healthcare in Edo State. Very expensive. The one built by Oshomole, the person running it as a consultant is the personal physician of the governor's wife. The fourth is water supply. We have a water board. They receive the salaries they receive constitute a huge part of our wage bill, but they do nothing. The issue of agriculture is at the heart, food security of our plan for Edo State. The governor, all his friends, took over farmlands by peasant farmers in the name of commercial agriculture. And I've said, no, it's not commercial agriculture. It's big man agriculture. Okomu, also Okpebholor has the highest shares there. They take our land, they make so much money from the system, they export this product. Where does that leave little farm holders? Right. So we want to check agriculture back to the people, we empower them with farming inputs, and last is value-driven education. So these are the KPIs. What we have in our educational sector is a complete mess. So we have 2.5 teachers in most of the schools. Most of the schools don't have roof. We want to bring back value-driven education in Edo State.
These are the KPIs by which the Edo State citizens will judge Monday Okpebholor's performance. And we're hoping that in another 1 year, the conversation will not be, 1 year is too short. So at what point, 30 seconds, at what point can citizens in Edo State expect to see these reforms, reasonably have taken place?
We have, just the way you talk about KPIs, we have timelines. He said within his first 100 days in office, he's going to appoint, or rather employ, 5,000 teachers. And I assure you, 100 days I'll be here to tell you the progress.
And within the next 1 year, we'll then review these KPIs vis-a-vis his manifesto and all the things that he has said.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us. Sir, your final thoughts, regarding the next steps for the PDP. You've said that you're going to challenge this in court. You've also said that you do not have faith in the judiciary. So if you do not have faith in the judiciary, what really is
we
for
are
the
going
PDP?
to continue to press the system. We are going to hold everybody accountable. We have just gone through an election. We realize that a lot of electoral reforms are necessary. The judiciary has to be purged also. I mean, look, you have a chief justice appointing his children, his family into this. Corruption is too much. This is not about individual political party. Nigeria has a problem. For instance, all the promises that its new governor is making. Believe me, within a year, you're going to see he will not be able to fulfill them. You know why? The system does not allow it until you devolve power to the states. This is why I was working for Atiku, because he said he was going to restructure. And that is the only way. I'm not talking about petty changes here. There will not be more change in Edo State.
And will the devolution of power happen in this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's
Well, this is what we are working for. This is what we must have. If Tinubu wants to help Nigeria, which from all indication is not his interest, but if anybody wants to help this country, if you want to help that governor to do well, you must develop power. Right. Security. If the governor is not the chief security officer of his state, which is not the case now, okay?
All right.
You understand me?
Yes, sir.
There cannot be security that you're talking about.
We have to go now.
So we must change these things.
The government closest to the people is the local government. And Tinubu has achieved something, which I'll call a landmark, financial autonomy for the local governments. He was creative in ensuring...
That is so he can manipulate the local government.
Can you just allow me?
That is why he can manipulate the local government.
That is a plus, because now he's taking money back to the local government. Governors usually eat this money. But Tinubu has said, allow the local government to use his money for grassroots development. And I think you should applaud the president for that. And this thing will be in stages. State Independent Electoral Commission, the plan is also to take them away and bring something new.
Gentlemen,
and make elections at that level free, fair, and credible.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adetokunbo PS, for your time with us, and thank you very much, Mr. Andrew Nwata. We certainly want the best for Edo State, regardless of what side of the divide you're on. The goal is for Edo State to move forward, and that really is our hope. And that Nigerians can hold the governor to account. He's still the governor-elect, but whoever eventually becomes the governor, if he is eventually sworn in, if he's challenged, whatever the case is, for now he's our governor-elect in Edo State, but the goal is for a better life for the citizens of Edo State. We don't want empty promises again.